So I'm gonna be honest, I thought about like a lot of questions last night. And honestly, I felt like none of them would be as strong as like I kind of just have one question today.
Yeah.
It's kind of like walk me through your life. From your childhood to right now. Activism or like the other work you've done, because I think that alone is like really inspiring to a lot of people.
Yeah. So that the question that I when I think about that, it's a lot of different levels because we had to get past we had to heal. And, um, these right here, mm, these are scars. Yeah, my fingers from a metal ruler, the metal part of the ruler. Yeah, we had to hold our hands out like this, and then hit them
Yeah.
because we spoke a language. And plus, so like I was in second grade when this happened,
Uh huh.
and he asked, "One and one is two, right, Mian?" Well, I agreed with that. And I said, "Oh, That's how you say yes. Because I spoke in my language, I had to get up on the class, and she would hit them with that metal part down of the ruler until the ruler broke.
Yeah.
And so these were split wide open. And we weren't allowed to go to the nurse or anywhere. We had to go sit down in our class. And so all she would do is give us napkins. And I say us because I wasn't the only one. And we just sit there wrapped up in our hands. Um, when we told our parents about it and they came and complained about it, nothing was done about it. And they said that I was misbehaving, And so that causes anger, causes a lot of frustration in a person that you start to lose trust in people. The idea of having a friend, most of the damage that was happening to us came from another race of people. And um, mostly white. And it didn't come from native, and it didn't come from Indian, it didn't come from anybody else. But when the white people came in and they started to do that, it was quite okay for them, and nothing even happened to them. But
So back when you were a kid, were you forced to go to boarding school, or is that a decision your parents made?
um, I missed the forced part. Wasn't that old, but I talked to a lot of people where they would pull up with a big grain truck or haul grain, pull up with a big truck right outside here, and everybody here that was old enough to go to school, they put in that grain truck.
Uh huh.
No matter what your parents, Catherine, or myself said, did count. They'd throw you in or drive away. And a lot of those old people said their parents would be running alongside crying because they were taking their kids away. And they wouldn't see them sometimes 2, 3 years before they seen them again. Those individuals were forced to be there. When I was starting to go to school, it was by choice of the parents if they wanted them to go to boarding school or not. Um, I guess me and my brothers were fortunate because the night we went, there was that night. My dad was almost like a migrant worker. He traveled wherever the grain was at, wherever the wheats and wherever he'd find a job. So we traveled all over, and we would go from school to school to school. 3 months here, move to another one. 3 months, said, well, I'm just stay in one school. But this year to go into boarding school, but the school was full,
Yeah. So you didn't have to go, or
so I didn't have to go.
did they know what was going on in boarding school?
Yeah.
And how would they like? how do they still justify like sending you there? They have like no other choice.
3 meals a day. You know, that was it. Anyways, 3 meals a day, but and it gets you very upset,
Yeah.
you know. And so we had to heal from all that. The healing part of that was that the confusion we had was that it was all done in the name of God. It was all done in the name of love and peace and harmony. And those are the words we still hear today. And it's almost like a nightmare when you hear those. It's hard to go to a church, although we're raised that way, right?
Yeah.
I can still quote the Bible in Latin, you know, because every morning before we went to school, we'd have to say our prayers and read the whole book, or half, at least half of it, and then come back in the evening and do the other half every day, from second grade to probably about high school. I think it was just about high school is when I stopped. That's when I just quit everything.
Uh-huh. What'd you do afterwards?
I went to University of Montana
Uh-huh.
as a freshman in high school.
All right.
And graduated. Well, actually, my junior year, I came back and watched my class graduate from high school. But I was a junior at university at that time.
Oh, okay. And then after that, based on what I know, you joined the army in Vietnam.
I did.
So I guess how'd you feel about fighting for the United States, even though, as a kid you felt all of this oppression?
I was very proud.
Yeah.
Very proud of it because it's my country.
Yeah.
Um, they indoctrinate you
Mm-hmm.
to kill people.
Mm.
And the study of that, how you do that, I was a sniper.
Uh-huh.
And so I was very good at, you could, with a crossbow or compound bow, you can shoot an apple off of somebody's head, but never try it. Right? 300 yards, I'd shoot an apple off your head. No problem. But I'd never try it.
Like it.
But that's how good I was with that. Because we did a lot of hunting here. And how do you eliminate feelings is one of the biggest things that they taught you not to be a friend with anybody.
Uh-huh.
No offense, because they could disappear on you real fast if you got really close to somebody and became a friend. Well, next day they might be gone.
Yeah.
And by not being numb and not having any kind of feelings like that, or had friendship of any kind, it was a training that they gave you. And so, and then the steps they gave you to be proud of who you are as a soldier,
Uh-huh.
were just embedded in you every single day. To the marching, to you'd mean the rainstorm last night, you'd stand there
Yeah.
24 hours in that storm and don't move.
And I guess through the course of the Vietnam War, did you serve in Vietnam? Like go there? Uh-huh. So did you through that like process, did anything change inside of you about how you viewed like your patriotism towards the US?
A lot. Because I started eating with the Vietnamese.
Well,
I started to listen to their songs. I started listening to and going to their ceremonies. And I started connecting.
yeah.
What they did, we did. You know, um, it was our job, on one hand, to infiltrate. That's how it started,
Yeah.
and become really friendly with them. But they'd offer me tea, and they'd bring me to ceremonies, and it brought me home. You know, um, kind of fighting out that emotion because it was such a awesome feeling that far away from home. and then people are doing the same thing you do at home. Yeah, so my whole view started to change because of that. But the thing that is unique about it is that I felt peace. You know, there's a lot of stuff I'll probably never talk about, but the uh, the love that I had started coming back out. I thought, wow, that's nice, really good to have. And so it didn't change anything as far as orders, anything like that. But for my trips and all, I felt very comfortable. You know, dangerous, very, very dangerous. It was in what they call special forces. And so we adapted to the situation and the environment and everything we're in. If I was to be right here, literally go in there and live there, very comfortable, no problem. Eat, food, everything right from there. That's what we did. And sometimes it would be for long periods of time. Um, but at the same time, they already showed us that they would lock us up and put us away if we disobeyed any orders because of the Alcatraz, what was happening here in the United States. And they wanted us to go shoot the Indian on Alcatraz to get him off of there. We refused that. And so they locked us up for a while.
So what was kind of your perspective of Alcatraz then?
Well, I agreed what they were doing. The reason why it was federal land, it was a tribal land, and it was taken over, and there was no compensation to the people for that land. There was no agreement. They just took it over and built a prison on it, and basically armed guards, and that anybody could even get close to it. So to have it shut down and to have all the natives come in and say, okay, we're going to claim this. We want this land back. On behalf of the tribe that owned the land. And so they put up a teepee
Yeah.
to primarily as a significant flag to the world. This is what we're doing. This is who we are. They did a giant graffiti all over the side of the walls where people, these binoculars can look in. They can actually read it on the walls in Indian land. You know, to me, that was pretty awesome. Never seen anything like that at that time. But when they told us to take arms and go shoot them and to get them off, then that became a real situation because I said, no, I can't do that. That would be really tough situation to do something like that. So I was totally against what they did asked us to do.
Yeah. Well, something else I was really interested in was after Alcatraz, you went to Wounded Knee, and you were part of that occupation. And so I was wondering, like, what inside you motivated you? Was it like boarding school, or was it something completely else to risk your life being at Wounded Knee, in that occupation?
My grandma, everything I did is because of my grandma. She's the one that told me when and how and where to move. And I asked her one time, I said, "Those flying saucers real?" And all she answered was, "They're really mean people." I never asked again. That was good enough, I understand. And so I believe what she said. And then, even though I might not have seen one, heard one, touched one, anything like that. But what she said, I believed 100%. And I traveled that way. And so what motivated me in all of this was go help those people. And I asked how. I said, well, what would you like to do? I said, I want to see what's out there. I don't know what's out there. I'd like to see what's out there. So she brought me down to this, we used to call it Gamble's hardware store. in Browning here, bought me a backpack, showed me what clothes to take, gave me $75. Them days was like $1,000, you know, to especially when you didn't have money.
Yeah.
And told me everywhere you go,
Mm-hmm.
learn one song.
Uh-huh.
That's all. Just learn one song from all the people you meet. And so I took off. And so in Wounded Knee, it really wasn't supposed to happen.
Really?
We were on the way to Oklahoma City
Mm-hmm.
for the first American Indian Movement Conference.
Uh-huh.
And we wanted to start developing an educational process of how do we teach our people how to pray again. Because we were eliminated from that process by the educational systems. Like I say, and this has helped eliminate when they start whacking us and beating us because we spoke our language. Well, we want to do this. One could get follow that. We want to learn this. And for me, that was a place to do that. I wasn't too sure. But this conference we were talking about, I said, I really want to be part of that. And so I jumped in the caravan. My friend and I were in Brown, and I said, the caravan's going to Missoula, starting in Seattle. It's going to Missoula. And he asked me, he see me walking down the street with my backpack. Where you going? I said, there's a huge caravan they're going to, and it's going to Oklahoma. It's going to develop American Indian Movement Conference to start teaching how we can teach our own people. I want to go. So he asked me if you can go, and I said, absolutely. So about 9 of us
Uh-huh.
headed down. We ran into some more people that were going to university down then. We all jumped aboard and moved forward. We got into Rapid City, and we're going to start heading south, and then there's a delegation of Pine Ridge individuals that came on blankets and with a pipe, and they come walking in because they were all sitting on busy day, and they come walking in, and they sat down right in the middle of the floor. They lit a smudge and put that pipe, and they offered it. And when they do that, they just hold that pipe out like that, and they sit there and they just hold it. They don't say nothing, but they're offering you this pipe to smoke. And of course, because in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
There's no rifle, there's no knife, there's no nothing. It's a pipe. And the pipe is used for prayer only. And so we looked at each other and we're, go ahead and grab it. I didn't know what it was myself. I was very naive about it. Because my grandma protected us from that. There's going to be time when you'll learn that, but not today. So I just sat there and watched them. And they sat down, told us all to sit down. And we smoked that pipe. They prayed. They sing some really, really beautiful songs. We sat there and listened to them. And they said, we're having a problem. An individual called Dickie Wilson, the chairman, is shooting our people because they're not voting for him.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for 5 years now. Just him and his people get all the luxury of being a tribal member, or the rest didn't. And even today, it's considered one of the poorest counties in the United States, Pine Ridge, because of that type of character and attitude that was happening. And so all of a sudden, that whole caravan of 300 people turned
Yeah.
and went to Rapid City. Not necessarily Rapid City, but Wounded Bay. And moved in, took over Wounded Knee. It was pretty scary because it was like these hills. It's just like South Dakota.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see these flares shooting in the air.
Uh-huh.
And it reminded me of Vietnam because it would light up that bright. Like a bit brighter, like high noon.
Yeah.
You could see forever
Uh-huh.
everything that's moving.
Yeah.
You could just like daylight. I never lit up all over the place. The little parachutes were floating down. It was almost like they already knew that was happening because there were so many weapons and equipment that they had that was military. Instantly, by the next day, it was already there.
During Wounded Knee, what were kind of other than your grievances against Dick Wilson, what else was kind of the motivation for Wounded Knee? And having all that military against you, I assume that you knew that you couldn't win against the U.S. military. So what did you want out of it?
Um, there was a couple times I sat on top of a hill, and what I was doing at the time, I fought what was called a Blackfoot patrol, and we would go around the outside of all the bunkers all night long. This bunker, this bunker, this bunker, this bunker, this bunker, and take us. We leave about 5 in the evening. It's 5 or 6. We get back to the beginning about 5 or 6. We stop, have coffee, and visit with everybody, and go to the next one. My job was to primarily just make sure there was nobody sneaking in between the bunkers. A couple times I sat on top of a hill and watching these things, the flares going off, and see this gunfighting, to see these like lines of laser. There's a bullet that flashes at red hot. Oh, and then there's another one that comes out, and in between it there's 15 bullets. Okay. But there were so many of them that just like a red line.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just go all the way across and be up and down, or get to the ground, it'd say the they're just all over the place. And I was sitting on this hill looking down at this, and all those parachutes going up, and these red lines just went everywhere. What the hell am I doing here?
Did you regret it all?
Huh?
Did you regret?
No, I just said, like, what am I doing? Like, all right, why am I here? And then I would think back about my grandma again, and all the struggles that she'd had, and all the struggles she's talked about in the past, and all the things that we went through, and being scarred for life just for answering in our own language. I asked myself, am I willing to die for what I believe in? And I guess I wasn't really ready for that, but I said yes. And that set my mindset that I'm going to stay. And I'm gonna go through with this, whatever it takes. I'm gonna be part of this, because basically one mind said, "You get the hell out of here now." The other one is saying, "Okay, wait a minute. There's a reason why we're here, and do you believe in that reason?" It was a decision I had to make on my own. I couldn't go to anybody to ask for help. Although I did say out loud to my mother again, "Be with me." Mm-hmm. Let my decision prove us right, know what we're doing, and decide to stay. I was very happy for that, because after the elders came in, the politicians, the leaders that were known, lost all the stripes and the stars and the badge and all that during Wounded Knee, because they start talking about turning Wounded Knee into, we can have our own New York City, we can have our own freeways, we can have our own statues. Everybody said, that's not what this is about. We don't want that. And so they literally got fired. Dennis Banks, Russell Means, all the leaders at that time lost their stripes and moved in there. And basically the elders took over. The elders told us, lay down your workings, go home, get an education, and fight inside the classrooms. Fight in the courthouses. But don't pick up the gun anymore. That's what we did. We stacked all the weapons up. All the people from the south, north, southwest, they all went that way. The Wounded Knee, all the ones from east, west went this way, all north. Wherever we came from, we went that direction. And 20 of us that came from the northwest area.
Yeah.
And we all went this way, all scattered at the same time at different directions. And like the storm last night, that's what came. It said, thunder is going to come in and protect you and lead you out. If you get lost, there's going to be a bird listen for that bird. He'll lead you out of there. And it's like walking through this brush. You can't see anything. You don't know where you're going. It's so thick and it's pitch black and then the rain. The only time you see something is like when the lightning would flash. Or in a split second, you could see something. And it was a pouring rain. And we had to hang on to each other to meet our wind. We could point to where we'd all bump into each other. And as bizarre and as crazy as it sounds and as scary as it was, when we'd all run into each other, we'd all bust out laughing. Oh, wow, we're lost. Okay, we're lost. Here we go. We say jokes. Well, you're supposed to be an Indian scout. You're not supposed to get lost, and we'd all sit there and joke about it. But then if someone said, wait, listen. And then way over this way, we'd hear a meadowlark.
Yeah.
So meadowlark's the state bird from Montana. And it has a beautiful whistle. And you usually hear it in summertime, during daytime. You never hear it at night. Major storm, thunder and rain. Everything was coming down, and all of a sudden you heard very clear this meadowlark singing. And they said, when you hear that bird, follow that. So each one of the individuals, we got back together later in years, and each one had a state bird or a bird that where they came from was the one that was singing.
Wow.
Where we came from was the meadowlark, and that's what's here. So we followed that bird. They said 20 miles to get where we had to go, to get out of there. Pitch dark and rain. None of us were from there. Didn't know the terrain or anything like that. They said there'd be a yellow house and 2 vans when you get to where you're going. Well, the last part of that stretch was starting to get daylight. They had helicopters and the big jeeps with giant spotlights, looking for us and spotlighting all over the place. And we got close enough to where the end of the tree line and the end of the mountains were gone. It was just flat, about half a mile. And we had to run across that without being seen. And that's where that bird was singing, way over. Okay, so they would almost, when we start watching them, it was like they would go through and disappear, then they would come back through. So when they'd go through, as soon as they start almost disappearing, we took off.
Yeah.
Full run, just straight to, and as fast as you could run. And we had about half a mile to run, and we ran, and we got there, right at the edge of the bank. Right below us was a yellow house and 2 vans. That bird brought us right to where we were supposed to go. Got down there, they loaded us up, brought us to Rapid City. There was some word vans waiting for us. They put us in those vans. We were in Missoula, Montana. And by that morning, later that morning, when the federal marchers came into Wounded Knee.
Yeah.
That's how far we were already away from there.
Yeah. Well, so at Wounded Knee, the elders told you to put down your arms and to go into classrooms and whatnot. What was kind of your life like after Wounded Knee? Did you go into more of those civil, maybe courthouse acts, the militant acts?
I was harassed a lot. I think we all were. I'd walk into a store here in Browning, and I'd hear, "Hey, Leon!" Yeah. 2 FBI's. Come over, I want to talk to you. Every day, every single day. Go to the hospital, go to the grocery store, go to one of the offices, go to the school. Leon! Or they just pull right up next to me. Get in, I want to talk to you. How's it going? Let us know, you get in problem, let us know, we'll help you in any way we can. We're always here to help you. Saying words over and over. So one day I packed up my bags and I left Browning. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I had a friend give me a ride over here by the train depot. Not the train depot, but the train.
Yeah.
And I jumped on the train. I jumped off in Kalispell. And I stayed there for 5 years. No one bothered me. No one knew who I was. Stayed away and didn't. I worked at the the fairgrounds, been in the stalls for the horses.
Uh-huh.
And I stayed there, and then I slowly started starting school again, getting back into school again because I love it. But for the first 3 or 4 years, they really bothered me a lot. Every day, it was just harassment. Um, if I'm going to go get a ticket for an Elk, or I go across the Canadian border, it comes right across terrace.
Yeah.
I'm labeled as a terrace
Mhm. How were they able to label you a terrorist if they didn't catch you at Wounded Knee?
because I was in Wounded Knee. I was in Faith Landing. I was in Alcatraz. I was in wasn't necessarily in Alcatraz, but because I refused the orders of that at that time, it's when I first hit the stamp. But there's a red mark on this individual. Went to Frank's Landing, fighting for fishing rights, another red mark. Went to Puyallup to fight for the hospital to get better health for them, another red mark. Came here, badgered to medicine, put up armed camps here, another red mark. Went to Wounded Knee, another red mark. And I'm just considered a terrorist because I was fighting for our rights.
And you never regret it.
Huh?
And you never regret your decisions. No.
And it's that way today. I got to go to like the Canadian border. I have to show about 5 different IDs. Passport doesn't work. Driver's license doesn't work. I had to have a special card that comes from Canada that shows that I've been rehabilitated to go to Canada. I can go around the world, but I can't go to Canada.
Oh, it's crazy. So, I guess what do you kind of think about the status of the culture and the language on the res today? Are you happy with the way it is, or do you think there's more that can be done?
When I see a children dancing, speaking their language, eating their traditional foods, um, that's where I was when I was a child. And then as I became a teenager and adult, that all disappeared. I didn't see any of that. To see those children dancing or singing, or drum groups now, or them days it was 55 and older.
Uh,
Now they're two of those drum groups that were in this rounding this past weekend, 10 and younger,
yeah.
you know?
I saw you dancing actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know? And so to see all that and then all those children out there like that, I like the announcer that's a Sunday night. I said, this is a huge arena and all these children, we got to judge them. And they seem like they all want to dance in that one corner. Your judges, go over there and meet them. Don't let them come to you. Do they all want to dance? It's too big for them to dance around. It hit my heart. It's really nice to hear that, because they didn't allow us to dance in the 70s if we're under 65. So a huge turnover.
Well, I guess one last question I kind of had, and this is more global, and it's probably a very difficult question to answer, is that around the world today, there are a lot of people, a lot of communities, tribes, or other groups with minority languages, minority cultures, and they're actively being oppressed. And for these people, resistance is like frankly not as easy as it is here in the US. Like if they go on to protest in the streets, they will quite literally disappear. And we've seen this even in the 2020s. So what would you say to these people who have their cultures and languages being wiped out right now and don't necessarily have the same, faculties to fight back? What would you kind of say to them as a person who's fought back against oppression?
I would say that learn how to pray because when we lose faith in our belief system, we lose faith in our direction of what we're here for, we lose faith in all the things that humanity has to offer. All we have left is this heart. And when we're really praying hard is when the tears start to flow. And then that might be the only thing you can say per prayer is take my life in a good way. That my children understand the journey I'm going on so that they can see that in the future. That's what I believe in. is that if I had one message I can give to the people is learn how to pray. And when you're praying really good is when the tears start to flow. And that's your heart when it comes out. That's the only way I know. And so something like that where we're being shot, we're being torn, we're being ripped apart, and we might never see daylight again. That somebody hear me pray, then I'm good. I might not see him again, but I'm good. You know, that that's what we fight for. It's not about how we can kick each other's ass or cuss each other out. It's how we can stand together and it's prayer. And hopefully someday we'll be able to do that. And that's what we call healing. Because the tears came for a different reason. Now, there's two major times we cry. One is because of the people pleaser thing that we might have lost. And the other is by the happiness, the sight, the sound is so wonderful, so beautiful that it causes a tear to come. That is unconditional love. If we lose that, then we lose the trust that goes with that. And then we get very doubtful of what we're doing. So we had to have that. If there's everything taken away from us, at least we have that.
Well, thank you so much, Leah. It's an absolute pleasure.
But that's that's what all of this is about. And so we go into Wounded Knee, we go into these different struggles, go into education. There's one goal in mind, is someday that the heart will come back to life. And for old people,